Uh, yeah, and I said, we'd have to have at least one boat, but I'd like to have two, and have two, possibly three shifts, because you want to do 24-hour coverage, and just patrol the harbor. And I said, well, that sounds like a good idea, he says, because times aren't getting any better. And this is before we started having all these problems with, all these terrorists and all that. Well, we're probably having problems with them, but it wasn't so publicized, let's put it that way. So anyway, there was another guy on the boat next to us, which I knew, but I didn't know him. He was relatively new to the dock. And he says, well, how would you work that? I said, well, it depends. What the hell is that wire for? Well, we don't need that wire straying around here someplace. One, two. Yeah, I do need that wire. So I said, where'd that wire come from? So I started talking to him. He says, well, how would you work it? Where would the money come from? I said, well, the money would come from the refineries that are on the water. All these fuel tanks, and where they fill all the tanks for gas stations and the oil companies. So there's got to be a dozen or better companies down there. And that would be a minimum of a dozen. I says, and I'm sure that even the state would probably give some funding somehow. But at this point, it could be done just on the companies that are down there looking to secure what comes in, because it's securing their docks, their vessels coming in, their shipments coming in and out. I mean, it's just, it would be beneficial for them to do this. He said, yeah, it makes sense. The more I talked about it, the more sense it was making. However, I didn't feel like getting involved and going through all the paperwork that you had to go through. Because there was going to be some red tape. You had to get licensed as a security company. You're going to have to get approved by the Coast Guard. There's just a lot that you have to do. You have to get the vessel. You have to outfit the vessel. You have to hire the people. Now you got to involve in the unemployment. And, so it was just a lot of work. And then you got to hustle to sell the idea. So it just started saying, this is going to take a little time. So in the intro of talking to this guy with this idea, I kind of just talked myself out of it. Not because it wasn't a good idea, more so because I didn't want to have to deal with all the bullshit to get it started. So I kind of forgot about it. And every now and then you think about it, and then you forget about it. Then you think about it, and you forget about it. You know what I mean. It wasn't tickling my fancy enough to where I was ready to go, and that's all I did. So the next thing I know, there's a company down there called Port Security. The guy I was talking to owned an auto body shop, and they've been there for years. Him and his wife owned it, and his kid, which is kind of an asswipe, and in trouble a lot, was always looking for something to do, and they were looking for something for him to do. He didn't want to really be a body and fender guy like his father did, even though it gave him everything he wanted because it was a very well-off company. They did very good work, and he took pride in everything they did. I think they're still there today. I'm sure it's not the original owners, but it may be family run somehow. Well, he started it, and he put his kid in charge of it. And that's what happened to my idea with port security. You know, I thought I cleaned this head once, but apparently I didn't. No, it's still goozing. I gotta get that out of there. Oh, no wonder. It's all goopy. No wonder. It's all goopy. So kind of lost out on that deal. But like I say, it was one that I really didn't care one way or the other, if you know what I mean. All right, now we have to figure out what part of this plug is what. I'm going to say, if I was to look at this as I am, I would say that I made number 1 ground. Now that's not necessarily true, however. Oh, I bought some new magnets for up top here. But we're going to see. Number 1 is ground, and where am I going to go here? Let's go 3. Okay, so let's see if 1 is ground and what 3 does. So we're going to blow something up or we're going to make it work, one or the other. Well, you know what? I'm not going to do it that way. I should put some resistance in line. That would help. Okay, so there's the red and white. So I did make number 1 ground. Okay, and number 4 are the blues. Good, and they're all working. I'm sure you can see that. Okay, number 3 is what? No connect. Okay, so number 3 is a wire that's blank in here someplace. That's why it would have been a good idea to have that bar, because then I'd know where the hell my wires are. So, okay, so that takes care of that. So we know they all work. So anyway, he opened it up, and that's what happened. So that's what happened to that. And like I say, was I pissed? Yes, but I wasn't, because I really didn't pursue it to start with. And I'm sure most of you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, you get an idea and you think it's good, you want to go with it, but you just can't seem to get the motivation to do what you got to do, because sometimes you're thinking the work to get it done is just